Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Blue Jay trying really hard not to giggle at the beginning of the episode. This is Roll20 Presents Dungeons & Dragons Adventurers League, episode number 24, Outlaws of the Iron Root, part 2, adventure number 9 of season 1 of Tyranny of Dragons. And I think that's all of the things I need to talk about at the beginning of the episode. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
How are we doing? Just so we're clear, that is not actually our rogue Gravaris.
That's not actually factually.
Yeah, not actually factually, just a photo of our dear friend Andrew, who is currently in Portland doing some Portland things and could not make it today. They send their regards, but we have an elf and a blue jay and a human. And
I'm
me.
I'm sure the whispers of Mask will guide us.
Oh god, everybody's gonna be 1d4 less skilled at everything.
I know.
Oh,
I'm gonna be great still, it's
Shame.
fine.
Don't make any skill checks today, anybody, or you're doomed.
okay, that's fine. No role play,
Yeah,
only combat.
yeah, Dave, you can still make kill checks, but no skill checks.
I love those.
I realized the composition of our group basically depends on Dave staying on his feet. If Dave doesn't stay up, we die.
I would be fine.
I've known this. I've known this for, I don't know, 12 weeks.
Yeah, except that
It's a
Tavares
responsibility.
is always a backup, you know? It's fine.
Yeah, so the
Wow.
party is Sans cleric today, but that's fine. You'll be fine. I'm sure. You've got a warlock, you got a paladin, you got a fighter. It's
We
gonna
have
be good.
very little healing now.
You're just gonna have to alpha strike every encounter as hard and fast as you can.
Don't worry, I
Push
have
on
many spells that will deal tons of damage, like the 4 I generally do.
through. Yep. Eldritch blast. So
Well,
I
even
wanted to-
Fireball.
I want to ask because I was watching Misclick's prophecy yesterday, I guess.
Mhm.
How's everybody's other RPGs going? How's that happening? Tell me, because you've been doing the prophecy thing for a little while now.
Yep.
How is it? How is that?
So it started with me like as a guest replacing another member of the party who was absent.
Hmm.
So it's interesting to see how party dynamic changes, what the like difficulty of an encounter is, and interesting to see how a different GM than you, Tristray is my GM in that, deals with that, because it started as me replacing somebody, but a level 6 sorcerer is different from a level 6 monk in what they can do. And then I became a full-fledged member of the party, and so now there's one extra person,
Right.
and seeing how that changes things. And it's way sillier than, I mean, our role play is great, but like Misclicks, that group is ridiculous, and it's so funny and way different from like this experience, because this is my first group, and I've played most of my role playing games with you guys, and Misclicks is like my second group that I've played an amount of role play with, and it's been different and it's been great, and I love being like a fucking awesome spellcaster until Tristray finally whipped out this monster that was like no, and then I hated it.
I gotta say, I like
hated it
the
so bad.
I like the cast of prophecy, but I tune in to watch Trist GM because
Oh,
she's such a shit. It's
she's
so good.
It's so great. She's so sassy, and like I think she finally hit her like this is the appropriate difficulty level, because the last 2 encounters or the last two or three nights have been actually like hard and great, and I love it. She's been doing a really good job.
Well, good. I'm glad. Yeah, it's a fun show. I wish that I had more time to tune in to watch it. But if you haven't watched Prophecy yet, it's really fun. It's a fun show.
It's very fun. Yes.
Yesterday watching it briefly, I got to witness one of those moments that as a dungeon master, like I could feel it. I knew exactly what that feeling was like, where you cast a big spell.
I cast lightning bolt, and it would have dealt 30 damage. Yep.
So just lets you get through the whole thing, or lets you get to like you cast it and you roll the damage and all that, and then she's like, "You're gonna hate me for this," and I'm just like, you don't deal any lightning damage, do you? And it felt so good. It was so great.
She was like, the one thing they're completely immune to is lightning, so get fucked. And I was just like,
Yeah. I like that. I'm a big fan of the challenging encounters and watching players learn these things the hard way.
And then the best part about that, Adam, was just a little bit later in that encounter, she lightning bolted 3 of us who happened to be standing in a row.
I saw that. I watched you line up, and I was just like, "What are you doing?"
There was magic gold. It was magic gold. It wasn't my fault. I was charmed.
Yeah, sure. It wasn't your fault. You were charmed. That's fine. Elf.
Yes.
What other games are you playing? You're playing Blades, right?
I have a lot of games right now. I play Blades on Monday. Yeah. We've hit our season 2 point.
Are you playing or GMing that game?
I'm playing. My friend Hyena Spots, Sean Welch, is playing or GMing it for us. Follow Hyena Spots on Twitter. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's been really fun. Me and Andrew are both in that group, along with Hyena and with my friend Catalyst, who is like a LARPer, who I spend lots of IRL time with. So that's really, it's a fun group, and the dynamic is really good, and we all get along. And Blades is a great game. I mean, what can I say? Yeah,
that's what I was gonna ask. So what playbook are you?
I'm a Lurk. Andrew is a Leech and a Cutter, because we've had 2 characters from them, and Catalyst is a Spider.
Mm-hmm.
And we're Shadows.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna ask, because that's the next thing.
We're Shadows, but we play like Bravos, so breakers, so good. Yeah. But yeah, my Lurk is a super fun character to play. Cricket, she's great.
And you're digging the mechanics of Blades?
I really like Blades. It's a super great game. But like I said, we've hit like the season 2 point, so like everything up to now has led to this point where sort of like enough has happened that we're taking a break. So our next game is like our next like holdover game, so to speak, like small game in the middle of until we do more Blades, is Fall of Magic. So we're gonna play through that, which will be fun. Looking forward to doing that. Tuesdays I have a D&D 5e game that I play on Brad Woto's channel.
Is this your 3 intelligence?
This is my 3 wisdom character. Right. 20 intelligence. She's fantastic. There is nothing like playing a wizard who has 20 intelligence and 3 wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something else. That's a serious.
She's a computer, but she has trouble tying her shoes.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
So she's super cool. I took a point of exhaustion because nobody told me to go to sleep. Like I just stayed up studying all night. Took a point of exhaustion because nobody was like, you should sleep,
Wow.
That kind of thing. So that's Tuesdays. Wednesdays I play in apocalypse engine type game. It's a very mishmash of like different game systems. It's like somebody trying to do their own thing. Not exactly the best system, but a fun game. Set in like a mafia kind of the setting.
Interesting.
It's interesting. I have a good time with that on Henley's channel. And then Thursdays I'm here and Fridays I'm here.
So busy. So many RPGs.
Other things on Tuesdays though. After the game on Tuesdays, I run directly to my IRL friend's house to play Pathfinder. So I just play lots of tables. In that I'm a Goblin Barbarian, by the way. So
excellent.
She's Aka, the Goblin Barbarian.
That's a lot of RPGs. Cool. That's fun.
I play many an RPG.
You sure do. And then LARPing. Dave, are you playing anything else? Are you playing corporations and cubicles?
Yeah, no, not at the moment. I do run a game that's not streamed, but that needs 3 or 4 weeks off while people are on holiday. So apart from this, yeah, for like the next month, no, nobody wants me on their shows. Nobody's ever asked me. Nobody cares about me. That's fine.
Dave, I was gonna, but the time slot.
Yeah,
Dave.
right.
Dave, it's
sure
like
it
you're in GMT, we're in not GMT. It's not about you, Dave.
I take this personally. I adore you, Dave.
I'm pretty into sassy Dave. I like it.
I know, really, it's really difficult to find times that are not exactly this for like anybody who streams.
Hey, I know this is like, hey, more stuff that Elf is saying, but
Hey, wait, shut up, Dave. Let me talk some more.
but I also basically finished the costume for my awesome
I saw that on the internet.
character. My wild elf shaman character for LARP. There's a masquerade coming up this month, and I was like, I need fancy things, and now her fancy robes are finished, and it looks awesome.
The only masquerade I'm interested in is Vampire the Masquerade. No, that's not true.
I heard that coming.
That's a lie. That's a total lie. I'm not
What about
interested in
Twitch
that.
prom? We still need to make that happen.
Only if I can be a vampire there as well.
Do it. Fucking do it.
Twitch prom.
Yeah, it should be a thing.
Yeah, it's like Twitch Prime, but more embarrassing.
Yeah.
So, all right, Dave, I know you're not playing any of your RPGs, but you got some fan art this morning. How'd you feel about that? I was really excited that you were excited because I knew you were having some trouble, and we'll talk more about this for the sprawl. But are you into that fan art? Is it a good fan art?
Yep, I'm super into it. I will drop a link in chat, but it made me really happy because sometimes I just have a lot of trouble visualizing a character, and it did a really good job.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the amount of fan art. Even after just the first episode, has been
It's
Yeah, it's been
insane.
crazy.
It's been
So
crazy.
crazy.
I've never had a show do this before.
Yeah, it's just inundated. It's great.
It's amazing.
I
Like
think-
the fact that people are so excited about it. It's just
yeah,
like
I'm down.
I think part of it is just that cyberpunk as a genre is inherently very stylish, and so it's easier to attach art to. It's easier to be like, oh, I could think of a thing. I could make an aesthetic for that. I think that's definitely a part of it. But yeah, so I guess that's the other game that we all have in common is the Sprawl.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm
which
so
we'll
excited
be
for
playing-
that
We'll be playing
tomorrow. Ready.
But we'll talk more about that at the end of the stream because I've got my prep stream today.
Oh yeah.
So I've nudged the encounters around a little bit to account for lack of Graveris, but as we all know, CR can only get you so far. So we'll try to be gentle. Keep in mind that you're running low on healing today. The last time that we saw our characters, we were on the overlook, looking down into King's Pyre. Which is this adorably mapped little location here. So for those of you watching at home, obviously the players have a version of this map, but it doesn't have any of I can't say them all. It doesn't have any of these things I'm pointing at right now. And there are certain elements of the map, such as Chewbacca over here, that is not visible to the players.
I never saw the Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Even when it was supposed to be there. I think I just have selective Star Wars visionphoria.
Myopia would be a word you could use there.
Yeah.
So the players have their own map of King's Pyre. This is what it is. It's a great statue of a long forgotten king of old, built into the side of a mountain on the Iron Route.
Are we supposed to be seeing that map right now? Because I'm on a different map.
No, you will not. I'm not going to show you this map. You've got your own.
We're on the Rathine map.
Rathine was here.
Yeah, y'all have a different map because if you go into handouts, you can pop.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
You can pop open that.
Uh-huh.
Map. Y'all have.
That's
access.
where it is.
You have access to your little King's Pyre map there.
Baby King's Fire. Got it.
Yeah. So you're here. You're here for the purposes of disrupting or stopping altogether the meeting of two of these outlaw gangs. One of which is led by a dragonborn sorceress of some kind who believes herself to be the chosen of Tiamat, and she has a bunch of mutated kobolds serving her. And then the other is the noble bandit. What's his name? Sand Krulek, leader of the Grey Patriots.
Oh yes, Sand Krulek.
Yeah, Sand Krulek. Look at his burly face. He looks a little like Kenny Rogers.
What?
So this guy wanted for robber, murdering, and sedition, and and so that's his jam. So you're up top here in the top left corner where the path leads down. And from here, you can see the camps on either side of the lap of the statue. You can probably make out from here figures moving around around the campsites, and probably smoke from cook fires and what have you. The most obvious way into the area would be to sneak down the hill, but there's like a road there, so they're probably keeping an eye on it for traffic. Now you could try to climb down from above along the top, or I guess climb all the way down and then climb up from the bottom. But there's a lot of different ways to get in here, and
climb all the way down.
I think that would be if we had brought a ship, right?
yes, if you had a boat, you might be able to come at it from the below region here. But yeah, so you're at the top of the cliffside. It is, I think, early, still relatively early morning when you arrive, and
So, how subtle are we wanting to be here?
Well, I think that we have to decide whether we prefer to encounter the bandits or the dragon, and if there's any way we can set them against each other, or if we must attempt to take on both parties.
Well,
right?
I know that I personally would rather run into the Dragonborn and the various, minions of that one, because I'm less likely to die.
I do
Yes.
think that you being
And
a
that gives
kobold
me
is
an
helpful
idea.
very here.
Yeah, an idea?
Yes. Yes, actually. Although I advised against it before, I'm rethinking my situation now that we are a little more light-handed.
Of course.
We need to get them to, at the very least, mistrust each other. In the best case scenario, openly hostile with each other. So there are less of them to deal with, or at least a distraction to allow us to sort the problem out.
So you want me to go and cause a problem?
Yes. Yes, I do, in fact. Pose
So-
as one of the cultists, the dragon cultists, and
Can you remind me what our task is here? We're just looking to bring in the bandit,
well, so
head
the
people,
bandit
right?
the bandit
Deal with the
leaders,
problem.
yeah, the bandit leaders, your noble contact is offering 75 gold, I think, a piece for both, like, each of them, and then the government of Flan is offering 500 pieces of gold for the capture of Sand Krulek. So you can choose to do with that information what you will. Also, there's talk that after the prison break, remember you talked to that woman, and she's made it fairly clear that the bandit king Sant Krulek was falsely accused of conspiracy. That the government wants him killed because he's a dangerous political entity more so than his banditry. That's all.
Since when have we cared about politics of Flan?
I'm just saying. It's
maybe you don't.
He's not.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
not like he's an evil bandit overlord or anything. He became a bandit after.
Okay.
Very well then. What exactly were you thinking?
Well, they're here to make some sort of deal, as I understand it, work together instead of dividing the pickings between each other. Perhaps show that the kobolds cannot be trusted. Steal from the others.
I was going to say, what you're saying is go and be an annoying kobold.
But try not to get yourself killed in the process.
I'm relatively sure I can handle that.
I mean, if it comes down
I
to
have-
it,
I
the
have
most
some
valuable person for us here is simply the bandit leader. What's his name? I don't remember. But
Sand Krulek.
yes, that fellow. I mean, if it comes down to it, we could just take him and try and get him away, as opposed to taking on two tribes of bandits.
Do we not also want to capture the Dragonborn?
That's 75 gold versus what, 575
But it
gold?
is potentially information about the dragon cult. You know, the thing that has been a problem constantly
And that's true.
up until now.
3
Well-
versus how many dozens also?
During the planning stage, we can afford to be optimistic, I think. Things are bound to go wrong, however, and having our priorities straightened out, makes sense. Yes, this person is worth more. I have some questions that I think they might be able to answer that I'm quite interested in. The cult, well, we already know what they're about, why they're likely doing what they're doing. But still, if we can do both, if we can cause them to whittle down each other's numbers, then more for the better, I suppose. I'm sure we'll have to kill at least some. But...
Very well. I suppose I will go and see what I can find out.
Okay. Don't move in until Oleander and I have a better position. We'd like to try and get down somehow, but we shouldn't use this main road. Perhaps if we skirt along the cliff edges and try and climb down near one of the waterfalls where it would mask the noise we'd made with climbing equipment. I do still have some left over from my roguish days.
Can we see visibly, like, which of these camps, like, we're obviously closer to the one on the left. Can we see, like, if it looks like that's a bandit camp or if it looks like there's a bunch of tiny kobolds?
You'll have to get closer to the edge to be able to make that check.
Okay.
But yeah, you could come over to the edge and peer over and see what your elf eyes see.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see if I can make out which of the camps we would be approaching and which we would prefer to be approaching.
Stealth it up.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't get seen trying
Obviously,
to see.
sneakily.
Okay, you want to make a stealth check?
Mm.
Okay, go ahead.
Ugh. Can we take the cloak off Gravaris before
No,
he goes?
you can't strip Gravaris naked before he leaves.
Just borrow it. I'm sure he'd understand. He likes making mischief.
All right, well, I
He did fine anyway.
I sneakily attempt to peer over the cliff edge and see what my elf eyes see.
Okay. Let's take a look here. Okay. All right. So you sneak to the edge, and on your way from the little copse of trees to the edge of the road, you notice something. And maybe you start initially, like you're a little startled by it. It's the shape of a person. There's a tree near the edge that has a human body lashed to it. It's a man wearing damaged chainmail armor, so it's like torn apart and covered in blood. He's wearing a formerly white cloak that hangs in tatters around his shoulders, and by his dress, you would guess he's a cleric or holy warrior of some kind. His breastplate has been like broken open, and you can see his naked chest underneath, and the words "Go Hom," Gohom, has been carved into his bare chest, and he's just like hanging from this tree.
So kobolds then.
Right. That's very scary. I'm so frightened. I still need to like check out.
Okay, yeah, you just ignore it, and I mean you're you, so you probably do. You're like, oh, another
Yeah.
dead human.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just like, oh, great, cool, whatever.
Sure. All right. You finish creeping up to the edge of the cliff and peer down. Yeah, make a perception check.
Okay, let's see if I can tell how tall these people are or not.
Nice, a 23. Okay, so with the 23, yeah, you can tell that the closest camp to you, the one at the bottom of the path near the chalice of the king, is definitely a kobold camp.
Okay.
There are the low tents of kobolds. There have been like caves or like little indents carved into or already existing in the cliffside that you can see little figures coming and going from, as well as a wagon sitting at the bottom. You can see from here. Let me check and see what kind of detail you'd be able to make out.
My vision's like 120 feet or something.
Yeah, it's not dark. which actually would be a penalty for you, but that's okay. It's not bright out. Yes, so there's a large wooden cage down at the bottom. Now you can't see what's in it, but it seems to be given a bit of a wide berth. Like the tents are set up kind of at a bit of a remove from it. And you can also see, I guess, from the tops of these tents, a little black pennants flapping in the wind that comes up from the sea, but you can't make out what, if any, heraldry is upon them. It's much harder to see from where you are anything that's going on the far side, the other camp, but you can assume that it's the camp of the Grey Patriots.
Okay. So yeah, I take a gander, and then tiptoe back over to our party and let them know what I've found, in so much as the camp directly below us is full of kobolds, and make the assumption that the camp on the other side is full of humans and other races, probably. So if we were wanting to be a kobold messing with humans, we would want to approach the other side. If we were wanting to learn more about the kobolds first, then yeah.
I mean, I'm suitable for either task. It's either go and pretend I'm supposed to be there, or go and make a mess for not being supposed to be there.
Indeed.
Well, I'll leave that up to you, whatever you think you can get away with. I suppose there are still some cultural differences that you're going to have to work out, not having been part of that society before.
Don't worry. I think I've got this. Maybe.
Right.
So
We'll head over the top.
So we're gonna go try and get into the human camp?
I don't think we're going to try and get into it. I think we're going to try and... I can't ping it because we're not on the right map, but if you see where there's the second level of caves, try and get to the wooded area by the statue's head. Yeah, because that looks like there's then a way down into that camp. But we want to be up there to watch and make sure
Yep.
Anastasia
It seems like a
doesn't
good
get in
vantage
trouble.
point, yeah.
Also, I don't want to start in the first level of caves again. I've done my time.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of the last time that you were in a series of tiered caves. You're coming at it from the top this time.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to go along the cliffside and attempt to scurry down to the king's shoulder, I guess.
Yes, okay. So so you want to climb down onto there, or because like the caves, there's a bunch of caves along that tier, right?
I think we were thinking the king's shoulder, where there's that rope tying the trees together.
We'd like to get down to there if at all possible.
Sure. Okay. So while you start making that trek along the edge of the cliff, what are you going to be doing, Anastasia?
I think what I'm going to be doing is going down the road.
Yeah, you're just going to start tromping down the road?
To the kobold camp?
Yep.
Okay. Oleander, did you tell Lane about the dead cleric?
No.
Okay. All right. So then,
Also,
Lane, you spot this crucified cleric as soon as you come out of the copse of trees.
Can I identify a specific holy symbol at all?
No holy symbol, but you can make a religion check to judge by the gear.
I think I'm proficient in this just because... Oh, no, I'm not. Actually, I could drop it out. Interesting. Oh, shot in the dark then.
Okay, yeah, 17, no problem. Yeah, by his garb, he is a member of the Church of Helm.
Helm.
Yeah, he's a dead cleric of Helm.
Does he have anything on his corpse that we could use, like healing potions or something?
He doesn't have any healing potions, but he does have a like a belt pouch that doesn't seem to have been pillaged from him.
Can we pillage it?
Yeah.
Would Dave the paladin let me pillage this dead cleric's corpse?
I don't think Dave is a paladin, but Lane might.
Lane the paladin.
What class are you, Dave?
Human, apparently.
David Human.
The sad truth is that we're all just commoners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess
Hey,
yeah, like on
Helm's-
the way back, Oleander like makes the like mental note, like, oh right, corpses. We rummage through corpses. That's a thing that we do as adventurers, and like takes a gander and sees a belt pouch and goes for it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just. Why is Helm's holy symbol also the gauntlet? I thought that was Torm's deal.
Torm is a gauntlet, Helm is a gauntlet with an eye on it, or vice versa.
Yeah, Helm's got an eye on it. Okay, sorry. To answer your question, he would look disappointed, but I mean, he's dead. He's not using it anymore.
Okay.
Practicality has to trump
Yeah, Helm.
respect, I guess, sometimes.
Helm, pronounced Helm, known as the Vigilant One and the Watcher, god of guardians, protection, and protector. Long worshipped by guards and paladins both, being seen as a cold and focused deity who took on the role of defender and sometimes enforcer. He's the bouncer god.
Cool. Don't care.
And no, Helm is his name, not his holy symbol. It's a gauntlet with an eye on it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's like the Babia version of Torm.
So you wanna take his belt pouch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The bouncer god is my favorite description of Helm ever.
Yeah, just like, no, get out. I'm sorry, you're not on the list. So you pick through his pockets. His belt pouch contains no coin or treasure, but a folded piece of paper in the pouch, which looks like it was unfolded and then crumpled up and jammed back in there. Like if the kobolds found it, they probably couldn't read it and crammed it back in.
Can I read it?
I don't know. Probably. Let me.
I uncrumple it and see if it's in a language I understand.
It is indeed.
May you read it, I think is the.
If you take a look at your handouts, you will see the note awaiting you and your perusal.
Cleric's letter.
I want to see it.
All right. So Oleander is just like looking at this thing and she's like, huh. Ill winds blow from the moon sea. The traders speak of a sorceress preying on their caravans, a serpent woman who swears fealty to the chromatic dragon herself. Those who fall foul of her kobold minions are taken captive and held prisoner until the stars are right for sacrifice. The Order of the Gauntlet cannot allow such evil to prevail. Make haste to Moonsea, investigate the sorceress. If she keeps captives, they must be freed. Blah, blah, blah. This guy, probably. Well, he was unsuccessful.
It seems particularly unwise to go by himself, unless he didn't.
There were
still some
captives
there.
down there. We did have, apparently, captives in the camp, the kobold camp.
In which case, I hope at least in our dealings there that we can free those. That's more important to me than the bounty specifically, though I understand. If we don't deal with the problem, it will just happen again. I'm not going to go all righteous on you for now, but just know that I would appreciate if we did at least attempt to save these
idiot
weak
humans.
I am also a human, and possibly
Yes,
one of the strongest people you've ever met.
I am aware.
Perhaps you ought to rethink those age-old biases.
The savagery.
It will take more than, let's see, a long sword to make me rethink my opinion of humans. But we should continue.
Lane will remember that.
The immediate moment of the after that is like the Arnold meme, but with your gauntlet. Oh. Yeah. All right. So, you're gonna head along the. You're gonna stay stealthy, I assume. No, they're not doing a lot of like looking
yes.
straight up the thing, but okay. All right.
Sneaky me.
That's fine. So you make your way across the thing here, and let's stay on Anastasia. Anastasia, what are you up to?
Well, I'm headed down the road. to meet up with my kobold brethren.
Okay, you're just
And-
gonna
and
head down the road.
join the wonderful dragon cult of
How? Okay,
Yeah.
describe for me again how Anastasia is dressed.
I can't imagine she's wearing anything too fancy, if not only because she like finding something that fits a kobold is fairly difficult. So it's probably just like robes of some kind, like loose fit like robes. And she has the book with her, obviously, which is a little unusual, but you know, I'm gonna go and present myself to the wonderful Dragonborn, and join her fantastic following. That's my plan.
Hello, fellow dragon cultist. Get your book over your shoulder, cap on backwards. All right. So
Oh God, this is gonna go great.
you start to make your way down the road, and you come around the first curve, and from here you can hear the excited chatterings in Draconic of a group of kobolds in one of the caves, and they're making just sort of like excited shouting noises at one another.
Out of character, I don't remember what the Dragonborn's name is.
Oh yeah, did we learn that? Does anyone remember? Because I know what it is, but
I'm sure that we heard
see,
it.
I don't know if what's her face knew her name.
I don't recall it ever being mentioned.
I don't think it ever came up.
No, just serpent woman, dragon.
Okay, that's fine. I don't need her
I'm
name.
here to serve Tiamat.
Yeah, I don't need
the
her name.
chosen of
It's an easy
Tiamat.
one.
I don't even know.
So so you hear that, but then above that sound, you can hear you can't tell what kind of animal it is, but the unmistakable sound of two animals fighting and like chains rattling. So the like hissing, screeching sounds, and then the kobold cheering. And as you get closer to the mouth of the cave, a ghastly stench fills your little reptilian nostrils.
Oh.
I guess you like. Do kobolds do the snake thing where they like taste the air, or is that? I guess
No,
more
they're
dragons, so-
they're lizards.
Yeah,
they're
they're
more
lizards.
like you know, they don't have. They're like, I always imagine their mouth to be very sort of like crocodilian.
Mhm, yeah, that makes sense. Yellow furry crocodile man. Okay, yeah. So you smell the stench of animal, and you hear this noise outside the or inside the cave as you approach the outside.
Well, nothing to it, I suppose. And I try and put a little bit of a spring in my step and continue onwards towards the shouting.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So you approach the cave, and your vision changes as you leave the kind of misty sunlight from outside, and your dark vision kicks in. Inside the cave, you see a group of kobolds, 3 of them, and they are standing by 2 wooden spikes that have been hammered into the stone, and then chained to those spikes are a pair of giant weasels. The weasels are covered in scratches, as they are currently locked in mortal weasel combat with one another, and the kobolds are watching and shouting and getting excited about this weasel fight that they're watching. I don't think that they notice you right away. They're very distracted by weasel fights.
So I think I would walk, like I would approach the fighting weasel pit or whatever, chained weasels, as you do. and try and get like the attention of one of the kobolds, or like someone nearby, but not like in a declarative manner, very sort of like quietly, if I can, though that's difficult with kobolds, and I imagine the shouting is very loud.
Okay,
I try and look enthusiastic.
As you approach these kobolds, you realize that as you were told before, there is something unusual and strange about all these kobolds. They're strange mutated kobolds. And now the adventure here suggests a handful of decently interesting mutations for kobolds, but I like to turn it over to the dice. I have a whole book for this shit.
Well, okay.
Let's see. Roll a D200 3 times, and let's see in what ways these kobolds are mutated.
There
All
you
right.
go.
So one of the kobolds, 113. Let's see here. Roll a D20 for me. 10. Okay. One of the kobolds has pick a color. Just give me a color. I don't care.
Green.
Okay. All right. So one of the kobolds, as you approach, they're in form what you would expect from a kobold, right? Small, reptilian, etc. They have the dusky, rust-colored scales that certain kobold tribes do. But this kobold has bright green face scales and hands and feet, like bright green, like almost like luminescent in the dark. So a faint glow to this one's scales. He's probably called Green Face. And then the second one, you got a 92.
Yeah.
Okay. The other kobold has freakishly long legs. So he's crouched down and his knees come like up over his head. He has these like long spindly legs. So
There's
green face,
139.
green face, long shanks, and let's see. And then the last one was 139. Okay. And then this one. Oh, cool. Ooh. This kobold's face has no skin on it. So it's just like his skull and like his little eyeballs in the skull and his tongue in the skull mouth. But he has no muscles or skin on his face. Old Scully. All right. Cool. So, I love the Metamorphica. Yeah, so you walk in on these three freakish mutants, and they're shouting and cheering at the weasel fight.
I turn my gaze on the least freakish, which would be the green guy.
Okay, green face, sure.
Yeah, and try and go like, in Draconic, obviously.
Yeah.
I've come to serve Tiamat. You know, like praise the dragon.
Okay. Let's have you roll a.
I'm not good at this.
Let's roll a persuasion check. It's gonna get that charisma.
And I'm put off by the fact that they're mutants.
Uh-huh.
That's what I blame. Persuasion.
If you die, there's nothing we can do about it.
I know.
Just like.
So so Scully and Longshanks continue to watch the weasel fight, but Greenface turns to you, and he looks at you, and kind of looks you up and down, and says, "What clan are you from? Where are your clan brothers and sisters? What are you doing out here alone?"
Not all of them believe as fervently as I do. They lie lax under the streets of Flan, living in the sewers.
And
they grow fat on the human society that lives above.
Yeah, he scowls and he's like, "Ugh, city kobolds," and he like kind of sniffs at you, and he says, "You smell strange, like plants. And what is that book you're carrying? I don't know you, outsider. What's your name?"
Narsh.
And and he like, he's basically like looking you over, and I think he goes to like take your book to like look at it.
I hold on to it.
Yeah.
Like I open it and I like show him it. I'm like, hey, it's a gift for the leader of this band.
He kind of like, he looks at it and he nods and he says, wise, mighty Jarala will appreciate such a gift. And he kind of like looks you over and he turns to Longshanks and he's like, "Take this one down into the camp." And Longshanks is like, I'm watching the weasel fight." And Greenface is like, "There'll be more weasel fights later. Do as I say." And the kobold, he stands up and he's like 6 feet tall because he's mostly legs. So he just like whoop, like rises all the way up and he's like, "All right, come on, And with like these long, like stilty steps, he starts heading towards the mouth of the cave.
Some Monty Python shit.
I follow Longshanks, though I cast a glance at the fighting weasels before we leave, like, oh man, weasel.
Weasel fights. It was gonna be a good one. All right. So Longshanks leads you out of the cave and starts to escort you down the hill. So meanwhile, Mission Impossible over here. The two of you are basically you've positioned yourself. You've crossed the stream and you position yourself above the copse of trees growing from the shoulder of the king's statue. So from here, can I get both of you? Actually, I'll maybe just use your passive perception. Yeah, okay. So you can see the statue's head and shoulders that rest in the upper heights of the cliff face, some 20 feet below you. There is a thin length of rope stretched taut between a sapling on the statue's shoulder and a tree on the rocky ledge far below. Yeah, so you just see, and this whole area, like all of this, is like kind of cloaked in fog, right? Because the waterfalls hit the water, and they're throwing up and churning the water into the air, and the whole region's really foggy to begin with. So visuals are indistinct from up here.
Okay. Well, we have to get down there. I have a Dungeoneer's pack, so I've got I think the climbing things to make it a little easier for us, perhaps. Whatever those climbing things are, Dungeoneer's pack. Look it up.
Yeah, you've got some bits and bobs. I specifically have a kit.
Oh, you specifically
Grappling
have
hook, rope,
okay.
pythons.
So you're being a very effective human.
I've literally done this exact thing before.
Okay. Oleander is looking down the cliff and we don't see anything other than just trees and stuff.
If you want to, you can stop and make an active attempt to sort of peer down there and look through the fog.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that someone's been there because there's a rope tied. So I would definitely be like, is someone still there? Yeah.
Make a perception check.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll help look too. Well, I won't help look, but I'll also look.
Yeah, you can both make a roll. Okay.
All right.
Peering down through the fog, it's harder than usual to make out detail because of all the mist and fog and the tree cover and stuff. You can see gently swaying trees in the breeze, and that motion makes it hard to tell if there's anyone down there, right? Because usually when you're looking for a person, we don't look for outlines so much as we look for movement, and it's hard to tell because there's fog and movement and the lights playing tricks on you. So yeah, you can't make out from where you are, either of you. You can't see anything there.
Well, I suppose we just get down there as quickly and silently as possible.
Well, either you go first because you'll be more quiet, or you stay up here and cover me as I go down. I don't mind.
I think I'm more effective at range, and you're a little harder to hit. So go ahead.
That's true. All right, I'll head down first. Make sure to keep an eye out. I won't be able to sword
Absolutely.
while climbing.
Yeah, I've got my bow, knocked and the string half pulled, and I'm looking out for that movement. If someone comes at lane, I will shoot them in the face.
Cool. Yep, I'm going to climb down the thing with the aid of a climbing kit and just everything you could possibly imagine that you need.
You do have all your climbing equipment.
Imagine the best climbing kit ever.
Yeah. You got it from the Harpers. So the kit, the kit allows you to make the climb. It'll be an athletics check. It's not a difficult climb, especially because you have rope and all that jazz. You're wearing armor, but armor doesn't penalize anything like that, I don't think.
It doesn't in this edition.
If anything, he's faster in getting down because gravity's helping.
You know that if a person in leather armor and a person in plate mail both jump off a cliff, they'll hit the ground at the same time?
Yeah, but one will make more noise.
Sure. I guess.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no problem. You are very athletic. You have big, strong arms. But yeah, your muscles burn with exertion by the time you reach the bottom, because you and your gear and your sword and your armor and everything is quite heavy. But like I said, you got them big arms, so you're okay. You climb down until you're level with the tops of those trees growing there, and then kind of like sidle between the wall and the tree, and then you arrive on the shoulder of the king. So off to one side, there's just the wide open expanse, and then another like 100-foot drop to the rocks below. This area is curved, right, and covered in moss and dirt that's collected from falling from above over the years. The trees and bushes that are growing here aren't like, full size, like big oak trees or anything. It's like sort of scrub trees. And then off to the other side, you can see the side of the king's head, worn smooth by erosion over time with all the wind and the rain.
Cool.
And so you're staying on this little kind of 10-foot by 15-foot little platform, and then there's the rope that's tied on and extends down.
Okay, and now that I'm like down here, specifically, there's no way there could be somebody up on this platform with me who I'm not seeing? Or
What's that?
now that I'm down here,
Yeah.
I would be able to see, or would I be able to see anybody who is up here with me?
Unless they're like actively hiding in the brush, right? Like it's not a clear area. Someone could still be hiding up here if they're like actively trying to stay out of the way.
Yeah, I need to stalk through, and I guess I'm imagining they're up here covering down into the camp. So I'm like going around the back and hoping to find their back to me so I can stab them. Like you do in Battlefield when you're looking for snipers. Like that, except with a sword.
Okay, yeah, you see for a moment the glare of his scope off of his bow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. So you're like stalking towards the edge, like looking around. Let's see. Make a perception check.
Well, good thing I don't have disadvantage.
I mean, yeah, even a 9, not so much. So
Even a 0 would be interesting.
I think the thing is here, you have you're alert, right? You are unable to be surprised.
I am.
So what happens next, I guess, is just a measure of like quickness rather than of surprise. So let's just have you. I'm gonna use the sacred phrase. I need you to roll initiative, but this is purely just to determine who gets the drop on whom.
I mean, but I'm factoring this
You
too.
definitely don't see him. You don't see this guy.
I don't see them.
No, you failed the roll that would have been required to see him.
I got a 21 and I failed.
You actually got a 12. Seeing through the fog gives you
disadvantage.
Yeah.
Got it.
Dave also Dave doesn't have disadvantage because he's close enough that the fog doesn't affect it. But yeah,
it's not rolling with the button. Oh, okay.
There you are. Yep, you got 11. Okay.
There we go.
All right, let me roll and we'll see.
Not great
This is
considering
just basically just like
6.
who gets the drop on whom.
That's fine.
Okay. So yeah, you're not surprised, but you are slightly like at a disadvantage.
Shot.
Yeah. Well, no. So he doesn't shoot you. There's an elf who emerges from the bush and has a longbow pointed at you. You hear the creak of the bow. You turn, sword in hand, ready to attack. He's just outside, like sword range. He's on the other side. You're across the. You're near the head of the king, and he's standing near the rope. And he emerges with his bow drawn. He's wearing chainmail armor, and he's got a heavy gray cloak, like a dull gray cloak over top with the hood pulled up. And yeah, he pulls up and he's pointing his bow at you. And maybe some part of you that once used a bow is drawn to this item. It's one of the most like beautiful examples of the bower's craft you've ever seen. There's just something perfect about the way the bow's lines are when he bends them, the sound of the rope creaking, of the bowstring creaking. Like you can tell that there's magic in this weapon for sure, just by looking at it.
Okay.
And I can't see anything.
You just see shapes in the fog. If Lane were to call out, maybe, but you wouldn't know which one was him and which one was his target. However, if you were to attack either of them, you wouldn't have a penalty because they're obscured and you can ignore that. But it's your vision that's the problem. It's picking the target.
Okay, so he draws the bow on me.
Yeah, he stands and draws the bow. And then I want to cut back to Anastasia.
Cool.
So Anastasia, you and this daddy longlegs kobold are walking down the path. And he looks down at you and he's like, so you're from Flan. That must be nice. I've always wanted to go to Flan. Great tunnels there. Really A+ vermin, I hear.
Yes, it's particularly easy to navigate, well laid out and just generally very industrialized.
Yeah, and he nods. He's like, they say a lot about the benefits of living in a natural environment, but caves are so confusing. Nature has no idea how to properly lay out a layer. What I wouldn't give for a sewer. My goodness.
I agree, and kobold sewers, made by us, are particularly high quality. The humans, they just leave us alone and they let us work, and we do the best work we can. So, it all works out.
And he nods. He's like, you make a lot of friends in the sewers. I hear there's some other very interesting neighbors to be had there.
Best to avoid the neighbors.
He nods. He says, well, if things go as they're supposed to today, it's only a matter of time before all the surface dwellers of Flan are just wiped clean from the face of the city, and then it's the kobolds' time to shine. I've been thinking about moving. I've got quite a brood built up. I've had several hundred children in the last few years, and I think it's about time we make a move. Yeah. And he kind of looks at you again, and he's like, that's very fascinating coloring you have there. Where are you from originally?
Yes, well, I'm not really sure originally. I've always lived in Van, and we're not very talkative family, He
shakes his head. He's like, oh, that's hard.
Feel free to speculate if you want.
He says,
you've never seen one like me before,
Kobold genealogy is not my strong suit. Mostly I'm about the bowing and the scraping and taking things off of tall shelves. That's been, I've found.
Yes, I can imagine you have quite a niche, so to speak, in terms of your usefulness within the tribe.
He nods. He says, that's a funny thing about these blessings we've been given. Don't seem to breed true. I'm the tallest kobold possibly that's ever lived. I wonder how hard it would be to get a audience with Elminster. I'm sure he keeps a book of these sorts of things. I'd love to see that. My name in a book somewhere. Fascinating stuff.
Yes, Longshanks, tallest kobold who ever lived.
And he kind of stretches. He's like, yep, that sounds about right. And he bonks his head on a branch as you come under these trees. And he's like, well, it's it's not all it's cracked up to be. And ducks under the tree.
I have to say, there's a certain beneficial perspective to being quite this low to the ground.
He looks down at you as you come out under these the boughs of these big trees at the bottom of the hill, and from here maybe you it sort of takes you by surprise because you couldn't see it from above, but through the fog, because you're down quite deep in the fog now, you spot a hulking shape standing in front of you, a full 10 feet tall and clad as you approach it in chunks of heavy, thick hide armor. It's holding a massive club in its two hands, and you can see moving around its feet reptilians. You can see kobolds kind of scattered around it. It's standing still in the fog.
I let Longshanks lead the way because, I'm here to present myself to the leader of this place and see what I can learn, rather than make trouble. I will bow and scrape as necessary.
Okay, sure. So as you move through the fog towards the great hulking shape, you realize that it's not moving because it's not alive. It's a huge scarecrow, basically, made out of dirty hide stitched together in the shape of a giant or an ogre, maybe. And through the fog, it's quite frightening looking. But when you get up close, yeah, it's just a big effigy.
I just turn to Longshanks while we're walking along, whoa, impressive.
He nods and he says, "I put the hat on myself."
I imagine you're the only one who could.
He nods, and he's very proud of that. Like he's like, "Yes, I am." Ha ha. The other kobolds look at you suspiciously as you pass, and he says to you, he's like, I know, it's a frightening thing. Just don't look at it. You'll be fine.
Yes, I will keep my eyes averted.
And he leads you through the woods towards the camp. So let's grab a break here, and then we'll do the elf encounter and what happens when Anastasia is surrounded by enemy kobolds when we get back. So stick around. More of this action when we return.